Penn State football is ready to make a push to the college football playoff under the new star QB Drew Aller and a stud defense headed by captains Dom DeLuca, Keaton Ellis, and Adisa Isaac. So far, Penn State has beaten West Virginia 38-15, Delaware 63-7, Illinois 30-13 with 4 interceptions in that game. They have the longest streak of scoring 30-plus points in a game, and they're coming up to a whiteout game against number 24 Iowa. Now, Iowa last season is much different than Iowa this season. Iowa comes in this game second in the West at 3-0 and just got moved up to number 24 in the nation. So far this season, they played Utah State, which ended 24-14, Iowa State 20-13, and Western Michigan 41-10. Now, when you look at the strength of schedule, obviously you can see Penn State has had the harder schedule, and they won by a wider margin, and most of them, if not all of them. And they are averaging around 28 points a game, 151 rushing yards, and 150 passing yards per game. So the pressure is on this offensive coordinator, Brian Ferentz, to maintain 25 or more points a game to keep his job. He's just signed a 1-year deal to where he has to do this or else he's fired from the team. So with the PSU secondary, I trust that they can handle the passing game that is led by Michigan transfer QB Cade McNamara. McNamara never had any incredible games against us at Michigan, and now this season he has 417 yards, 4 touchdowns to 3 picks, and only completion percentage of 53.5. It's really embarrassing to think about. This was supposed to be the savior of Iowa football, and just how bad this offense has been passing the ball. So he's also going into this game losing their star tight end, Luke Lackey, out for the season. He's going to have surgery, and then their 2 top targets at running back are also out. But Luke was looking at having more than likely the top season in the wide receiver room. He ended the season with only 131 yards, and that was the top target. And then the running back that is now taken over is LaShawn Williams. So he's the leading rusher with 164 yards on the season. And the run game wasn't crazy beforehand without him being the main guy. So there's no issue in Iowa running the football this game, which is going to be a big problem for Penn State. But this defense is starting to get the turnovers rolling, and the D-line is starting to pick it up after the exodus of guys like P.J. Mustipher being the captain there. And they're going to force McNamara to throw the football. That's more than likely what they're going to do this entire game. There's no reason for them not to force this to happen because, as we've seen with his stats so far against these lackluster teams, he's not a great passer. And he's not ready to play the Penn State defense during a whiteout game. Now, on to Penn State. Trace McSorley and Grant Haley are going to be honorary captains for the whiteout. That stadium is going to be rocking as soon as those guys come out. And the Iowa defense is nothing stellar. They're allowing 286 yards a game, 105 rushing yards, and their top player, Jay Higgins, leads the team with 32 total tackles and 3 pass deflections. And then you got Sebastian Castro with 1 interception on the team, and there's only another one. So you got Drew Aller coming in here, who has looked very good this start of the season. Illinois, you saw some struggle, but that is to be expected. For some reason, they always have Penn State's number, and he's just going to kind of build off of that. No one in the building is saying that he's taken a turn for the worse in practice or he's not looking ready for this game. They're saying he learned off of it, he built off of it. So this season so far, he has 737 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks, 67% completion percentage. So he's gonna dice up this defense. You know, we're gonna see him and Keandre Lambert-Smith kind of just hopefully build a connection throughout this game, and hopefully we see the return of Harrison Wallace. Harrison Wallace is needed for this offense because we saw Malik McClain, the FSU transfer, struggle to catch on and struggle to catch the football on what seemed like routine plays. Harrison Wallace has been very underrated this season, just like what I wish wasn't happening with Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson looks like he was overrated coming into the season, while Tyler Warren, the other tight end, looks like he's underrated right now. So Theo had a lot of hype going in, right? But he only has 4 catches, 46 yards, no scores. While Tyler Warren, who I've been high on, and I feel like a lot of Penn State fans have been high on for a while, he's the number 1 tight end on the roster and maybe a number 2 receiver on the roster with 10 catches, 81 yards, and 2 scores. Not only is he needed in the passing game for this offense to succeed, but the third down situations where he either has to seal like an edge or he has to hit a corner that's trying to blitz or a linebacker that's trying to blitz on those T formations, that's what's making Penn State win games. He's assisting the run game so much, but bottom line is Theo needs to step up. Warren's doing the heavy lifting. That's not what anyone envisioned going into the season. But hopefully we'll see Katron Allen step up this game and have a big one. This season he's had 208 yards, 2 scores. Nick Singleton has 5 touchdowns and 154 yards. This running back core is insane. We also have Trayshawn Potts, who hasn't carried the ball much. He's a transfer from Minnesota. So we'll see if he ever gets into it. But with Fat Man, a.k.a. Katron, and Nick, you got 2 guys who are just going to be a beast duo. Nick is this bully that punches in the ball, and Katron is this big play guy that is just going to burn on the outside edge, or he's going to more than likely take out a linebacker or 2 because he can hit as well. Iowa's going to try their best to get Aller to throw the football and stay in the pocket, but they'll learn that he has the ability to move. We saw this against West Virginia. This guy can move through the pocket. He doesn't take his eyes off downfield. So we're going to see an increase in the run game, I'm assuming. The O-line is starting to gel together. We lost Landon Tangwall beginning of the season. He had to medically retire, unfortunately. But J.B. Nelson filled in for him, and he hasn't missed a step. That O-line is working well together, and they're looking well improved from what we've seen in the past from Penn State, which has been horrible during the times of Trace and Hackenberg. Now, Penn State defense doesn't really get talked about as much as the offense, I feel, because the offense is more attractive to media. But the main guys to look out for in this defense would be the King brothers. They are dominating right now, and they're not getting the respect they deserve. Kalen King was a beast last year. We saw his great plays in the Rose Bowl. And his brother Kobe King, who plays linebacker, he's stepping up. He's a tackling machine, along with Abdul Carter and Curtis Jacobs. Curtis Jacobs has 12 total tackles and a sack on the season, while Abdul and Dom DeLuca both have a pick. This linebacking core, depth-wise, is the best in the Big Ten and maybe one of the best in the country, as well as the corner room. The corner room is insane with guys like Johnny Dixon. And then you also, I forgot to mention, for linebacker, Tony Rojas. He's a freshman coming in here, and that's a guy who's going to pick up right where Abdul leaves off when he goes to the NFL, or Curtis Jacobs when he goes to the NFL. The depth is insane on this defense, as well as the line. I could go on forever talking about guys like Adisa Isaac and Danny Dennis Sutton. But Iowa's going to face a buzzsaw going against these guys. And I think Penn State fans are ready for the whiteout game to propel Penn State to the AP poll. We've been sticking at 7 for a while. No reason we should be at 7 after this game. And weather update and the weather forecast, I'm more than likely assuming this is going to be a game that ends 27-10. I originally said that Penn State was just going to stack on points and go for 47. But it doesn't really look like it's going to happen now. But anyway, thank you for watching, and Penn State is going to go to the college football playoffs.